Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today starts our official reveals for the Zenkai series coming out in September. We did a video talking about everything you need to know about Z Energy, Z Battle Cards, Z Leaders that we got from the DBSCG Direct. Of course, we'll learn more as the rulebook gets updated and things keep changing in the game. I'm very excited for this, guys. I am super excited for this mechanic. I just love how it works. But anyways, today we're talking about the most requested reboot leader in the game's history, pretty much, from what I've been hearing. So anyways, we'll get into that. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways to do so as always. But today, guys, if you want to buy or pre-order any of the cards we talk about in today's video, feel free to use my link in the description to TCG Player. It really does help out a lot, and I really do appreciate it. Anyways, let's talk about the leader, which is the Pan Reboot leader. Once again, like, this has to be the most highly requested reboot leader this game has ever had, and we finally get it in the Zenkai series. So let's see what they did to soup it up. So we have Pan auto once per turn. When you play a battle card, choose it, it gets plus 5k for the turn, and if this raises that card's power to 20k or more, draw one card. Okay, so this is the exact same gimmick as the old Pan leader, and it's a pretty good one because 1, you're just giving your battle cards free power, 2, you're drawing a card off that, and 3, now with the Z deck, this effect becomes much more consistent. The problem with Pan back then was, I mean, of course it got power crept because it was a set 3 leader or maybe set 4 leader. It got power crept over time. That's just kind of obvious, right? But one of her issues was any turn that you couldn't actually play a battle card to reach that power threshold, you just weren't making the most of the leader and you weren't getting the most draw power possible. With the Z deck, the way to think about the Z deck is it's essentially 7 more cards in your hand. You know, you can't combo them, you can't charge them, but it's 7 more cards, and you have the access to play them whenever you need or want to. So whenever you want to resolve Pan's ability, theoretically you can just go into the Z deck, play a Z battle card that'll hit 20k or higher upon play via Pan's skill, and that effect's always live, which is going to be really strong. So the Awaken relates 4 or less, or you have 3 or more Z Energy, draw 1 card and tap energy and take life down to 6. So that's different than the old leader. I believe the old leader was untapped 2, so they made it a hybrid Awaken. And taking life down to 6 is okay. I mean, we've seen a lot of leaders do this recently with their pseudo Awakens, and it's good, don't get me wrong, but like, it just sucks that testing the opposition is not always live. But another cool thing about the Z deck is that if a leader doesn't have inherent self-awaken or the ability to take life, and a card in your Z deck just does that, again, you can just access it whenever you need it. So that's gonna be great. Like, if there's just some sort of 1 or 2 drop Z battle card that on play takes a life, and you need to get to 5, now you're testing the ops are live, and then your Raditz super combos will be live. Like, a lot of things can just snowball from the Z deck, which I'm very excited about. Anyways, Pan ready to fight returns. Let's see what they did to the Awakened side of the leader. Auto once per turn. When you play a battle card, choose it. It gets plus 5k for the turn. If this card raises the power to 20k or more, draw 1. Same thing as the unawakened side. When this card attacks, draw 1. So you have potential to draw 2 cards per turn. And then activate main once per turn. Choose one of your red Z battle cards with energy cost of 2, and it gets plus 5k for the turn. So for Z battle cards, not only can you buff them by 5k, you can buff them by an additional 5 thanks to the leader's activate main here. The one thing I'll say, or maybe the 2 things I'll say, is 1, this leader doesn't have the ability to combo cards for free from the drop like the other starter leaders. If you guys went ahead and read those already, we will definitely do videos on all those. But this leader doesn't have that built in inherently, which is definitely a really strong effect when you consider Z Energy requiring cards to be comboed. But still, I mean, getting bigger battle cards and getting a lot of draw power is probably the trade-off there. And I think there's another card in the starter deck that helps with that combo thing that we'll see in a little bit. So overall, leader looks pretty good. I mean, very similar to the old leader. Not too much is too different, to be honest, except for that activate main that's added and the alternate awaken condition. But still, I mean, seems like a pretty good generic red leader. There's nothing really tied to an archetype as far as Pan goes. So this might be a little different than like U7 and GT, where she can really just play the best red cards in the game and probably do pretty well. Awesome thing about Pan 2 that's always been good about her is that Topo Righteous Aid essentially costs 0 in Pan, because, you know, you discard a card to play him, and then she boosts him by 5k and draws a card, so you get that card right back, which is a really cool thing. So this leader should be pretty good. I don't really see U7 or GT getting hit too crazily going into Zenkai series, but I mean, if they do, I don't see any reason why Pan wouldn't just step up to the plate automatically. But even if those decks don't really get hit, Pan just seems like a great leader in general. Then we have some Z battle cards to talk about. So we have SS4 Goku, Defender of Life. 2 drop 20k, so you know that when you play their pan, you're going to get that draw, which is great. Deflect, double strike. When this card's played, place up to 1 sand from your drop under this card, and this card gains barrier for the turn. Additionally, if your opponent has 4 or more life, deal 1 damage to them. So deflect, double strike, barrier, very similar to Absolute Annihilation, which I think this is a pretty similar artwork to anyways. But activate main once per turn, pay a red. If your leader is a pan only card, you have 4 or more energy, and the Great Ape Son Goku the Aggressor is under this card, this card gets plus 5k and dual attack for the turn. Okay, so by the time you're done boosting this up with your leader's awakened side, this will be a 35k dual attack, double strike, deflect, barrier. This card is crazy overtuned. Now, the one thing I will say is I don't think Great Ape Son Goku the Aggressor is a card that exists yet. I mean, we're just assuming that it's coming out in the main Zenkai set 9 or 19 or 18, set 18, I believe. I think that's where that card will be coming out. I don't think the card exists currently, so probably be something having to do with the SS4 Goku and Vegeta deck that you can just easily play in pan if you want to. So keep an eye out for that, but still, I mean, this card seems insane. Next up, we have Videl, Daughter of the World Champion. So this card doesn't actually come out in the starter deck. I'm not actually sure where this promo comes from, but it is a red Earthling promo, so I figured it was worth talking about here. It's a 1-drop, a Z battle card with a Z cost of 2. Unique auto. If there are 1 or more red Earthling cards in your Z energy when this card attacks, choose one of your opponent's battle cards of 15k power or less and KO it, and this card gains 10k for the turn, going up to 15. So if you played it in pan, you wouldn't get the draw, which is kind of rough. This could always be a follow-up play after you play your first battle card to get the leader buff. And then this thing is a 1-drop 15k swinger. Like, that's always a really good thing for aggression, and it pops on things. So not a bad card. Will you play it in pan? Maybe in the beginning when there aren't better Z cards to play. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this here because 1, again, I'm not sure where this promo comes from. So if you know that, drop it in the comments. But 2, it's a card you can potentially play, of course, because it's a red Z battle card. So I wanted to talk about it. Anyways, let's move along. We have some more starter deck exclusive cards. Gohan the Awakened, 3-drop 15k Unison, blocker auto. At the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode, +1 auto. When using a mono red battle card in a combo, draw 1. Additionally, if a battle card with 20k power or more is in your battle area, this card gains double strike for the turn. That seems very aggressive. Activate main, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and gets -15 for the turn. So a few things here. 1, this auto is going to trigger during both players' turns. So the way that Unisons work, right, is that their plus or minus abilities are inherently once per turn. So I guess if you wanted to remove a battle card with the activate main, you would just do that before comboing anything, because it looks like if you combo something, the +1 auto is going to immediately trigger. So if you want to kind of time that properly, you can definitely do that. But I'm sure you'll be looking for the +1 more than you'll be looking for the plus or minus 0. But I just wanted to mention that for you guys. This unison seems really good. One thing that's really been on my mind is like how Zenkai is going to work with unisons, and honestly, they don't really conflict at all, which is really cool. Like, a lot of times we get new mechanics and the new mechanics don't really synergize all that well with the old stuff, and you know, it doesn't really cost you anything to play a Z deck, except for like the kind of inconvenience of having to combo sometimes when you probably don't want to. But of course, like this unison, for example, and many other cards that we'll see are going to benefit you from comboing, so they're kind of trying to downplay that downside, right? So this unison seems really good. I mean, we have a lot of great unisons in the 3-cost red pool, but this one obviously gives you a benefit for comboing, so this one might be the main staple of a deck like this that wants to get more going with Z energy. Of course, though, one thing to keep in mind is, like, if your opponent wanted to deny you that +1 auto, all they really have to do is just attack this unison over and over and over again, and you're never going to get that +1. You're never going to stack up your Z energy defensively, at least. But I mean, if you have blockers in the deck, or maybe testing the opposition, cards like that, you'll be okay. Next up, we have SS4 Goku, Senses Returned, 4-drop 15k deflect. When this card attacks, use it to 1 mono red sand with 5,000 combo power from your drop in a combo with its skills negated for the turn. Activate main limit 1, burst 2, pay a red. If your leader is a pan card and you have 2 or more energy, play this card from your hand. So notice a pan card, that also works for the GT leader on the awakened side, just something to keep in mind. Activate battle limit 1 for a red. If this card is in a battle, draw 1 card, switch card to active mode, and it gets 5,000 power for the turn. So this card alone, at least for the energy you pay for it, the 2 energy you're going to pay for both these effects, should generate you 2 Z energy, which seems very strong, of course, and a good amount of draw power too. This seems like a very, very good battle card. Pan Wisher of Miracles, 3-drop 15k. At the end of a battle where this card was played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 10k for the turn. Activate battle, limit 1, pay a red if your leader is a Pan card and there are 1 or more red cards in your combo area. Draw 1 card and play this card from your hand. So we see right here, these cards all synergize with comboing, with stacking and generating Z energy. So that shouldn't really be a problem in the Pan deck. Again, it's not quite as free as the other leaders because other leaders have the ability to do it right on their awakened sides. But I mean, Pan has great battle cards here with Wisher of Miracles and Senses Returned. The Unison seems really good as well. There are a lot of great red Unisons you could play. And that's the other thing I like too, is that you're not necessarily tied to playing this Unison if you don't want to. I mean, it seems like a great Unison, but like there's no awaken condition tied to a Unison, right? So you could play any of the good Unisons in the game for red, which is really cool. But anyways, last slide here, just want to talk about some strategies you can actually play in the Pan main deck. So there are cards that are just like there for Pan, right? Like in the game for the old school Pan. One of those is Trunks Surge of Energy. 2-drop 15k, auto once per turn, and this card's power is increased by a skill during your turn. Draw 1 card. So play it, Pan boosts it, you draw 1, and then by his own effect, you draw another 1. It's kind of like a Sand Instincts on legs, which can be very, very good. Then there's a whole Frieza spaceship engine that people used to play in Pan towards like the later period where she was like kind of relevant. So this field card basically lets you play a bunch of Frieza army cards, most of which have 15k power. So when you play them, you're going to draw a card from the spaceship and you're going to draw a card from Pan, and then you just flood the board full of attackers. You're getting a free one going into every single turn, which is really good. And of course, there is the old reliable Chain Zeno. Of course, you can play it. Chain Zeno, I think, is actually pretty decent in modern DBS. I think it's actually really good in GT. Not a lot of people really play it though. Pan might be a little bit tougher, but it still might be pretty good. Like the thing with Chain Zeno is that you don't really care about your resources before you do the Chain Zeno because everything gets reset, right? Like you could have 10 cards in your hand, your opponent can have 15. You can combo on several different attacks and generate Z energy. Maybe put yourself down to 3 cards in hand, but as long as you have the Chain Zeno combo ready to go, it doesn't matter that you just did all that. You're going to reset yourself to 5, reset your opponent to 5, and you just got to charge a bunch of Z energy, which is pretty cool. So anyways, guys, that's what I want to talk about in today's video. Pan looks very, very cool. I'm pretty excited about her, to be honest. There are a lot of cool strategies you can play, and honestly, I kind of miss just like mono red good card deck. Like that's going to be a real fun one for me to build. And of course, I'll bring you guys build here and on the Patreon as time goes on. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.